My name is Helen Parker, and on a cool October evening, a phone call from a stranger shattered the peaceful silence of my retirement. I'm sitting here in my living room, the same room where I watched my children grow up, where I celebrated 42 anniversaries with my husband Thomas, where I now spend my evenings with a book and a cup of tea, holding a photograph I never knew existed. The phone rang at 7:15 p.m. I almost didn't answer. I hate telemarketers, and they always seem to call at dinner time. But something made me pick up. Mrs. Parker? Yes? My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm trying to find information about someone. Someone who might be connected to your family. My first thought was that it was a scam. Some trick to get money or personal information. But her voice was different, hesitant, nervous, like she was making the hardest call of her life. I'm not sure I can help you, I said. Who are you looking for? A woman named Eleanor. Eleanor Vance. She would have been in her early 70s now. She lived in this area in the 1960s. The name hit me like a physical blow. Eleanor Vance. I hadn't heard that name in 50 years. Hello? Mrs. Parker? Are you still there? I gripped the phone tighter, my mind racing. Eleanor. After all these years. Why are you looking for Eleanor? I asked, my voice barely steady. Because I think she was my grandmother. The world tilted. I sat down heavily in the nearest chair. Your grandmother? Yes. I never knew her. My father was adopted, and we've been trying to find his birth family for years. We finally got some records, and they led us here. To this town. To Eleanor Vance. I closed my eyes. 50 years of secrets, about to come pouring out. Mrs. Parker? Do you know her? Do you know Eleanor? I took a deep breath. Yes, I said. I knew her. She was my sister. My sister Eleanor was 3 years older than me. When we were girls, we were inseparable, shared a bedroom, shared clothes, shared secrets. She was the brave one, the adventurous one. I was the quiet one, the follower. In 1964, when Eleanor was 22, she fell in love with a young man named David. He was handsome, charming, from a good family. My parents approved. Everyone approved. But Eleanor wasn't happy. I knew something was wrong, but she wouldn't tell me what. She'd always been secretive about certain things, even with me. But I could see it in her eyes, the sadness, the distance, the way she'd stare out the window for hours. Then, in the summer of 1965, she disappeared. One day she was there, and the next she was gone. No note, no explanation, no goodbye. My parents were devastated. They searched for her, hired private detectives, offered rewards. Nothing. I never stopped looking. Never stopped hoping. But as the years passed, I began to accept that I might never know what happened to my sister. And now, 50 years later, a stranger was on the phone, calling her grandmother. Sarah Mitchell came to see me the next weekend. She was 28, with dark hair and bright eyes, Eleanor's eyes. I saw my sister in her the moment she walked through the door. Thank you for seeing me, she said, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. I know this must be strange. Strange doesn't begin to cover it. She smiled, a nervous smile that reminded me so much of Eleanor I had to look away. I brought photographs, she said, pulling an envelope from her bag. Of my father. Of his adoptive family. Of Eleanor. My hands shook as I took the envelope. The first photograph was of a young woman, maybe 25, holding a baby. The woman was Eleanor. My Eleanor. Older than I remembered, but unmistakably her. Where was this taken? California. She moved there in 1965. Had a baby, my father, in 1966. She never married, never told anyone who the father was. She raised him alone, worked as a waitress, saved every penny to send him to college. I stared at the photograph, tears streaming down my face. She was alive. All those years, she was alive. She died in 2005, Sarah said softly. Cancer. My father was with her at the end. She never stopped talking about you, about her family back home. She said she was sorry. She said she hoped you'd forgive her someday. Sarah had brought more than photographs. She had letters. Dozens of them, written by Eleanor over the years but never sent. August 1965. Dear Helen. I'm writing this even though I know I'll never send it. I can't send it. If I do, they'll find me, and I can't let that happen. I'm in California now. It's beautiful here, warm, sunny, nothing like home. I have a small apartment and a job at a diner. It's not much, but it's mine. I think about you every day. About Mom and Dad too, even though I know they'll never forgive me for leaving. I hope you're okay. I hope you're happy. I can't explain why I left. Not yet. Maybe someday I'll be able to. But for now, just know that I love you. I've always loved you. Your sister. Eleanor. June 1966. Dear Helen. I had a baby. A little boy. I named him David, after the man I loved, the man who couldn't love me back. He's perfect. Tiny fingers, tiny toes, a full head of dark hair. I look at him and I see you, see Mom, see all of us. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I wish you could meet him. I wish you could hold him. I wish a lot of things. I love you. I always will. Eleanor. December 1975. Dear Helen. David is 9 now. He's smart, so smart. Gets straight A's in school, reads everything he can get his hands on. Just like you used to. I told him about you. About our family. He asks questions all the time, what you were like, what Grandma and Grandpa were like, why we never see them. I don't know what to tell him. I don't know how to explain. Maybe someday I'll find the courage to come home. Maybe someday I'll be able to face all of you. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. I hope you've forgiven me, even though I don't deserve it. Eleanor. October 1998. Dear Helen. I'm old now. 65 years old. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. David is grown, married, with a daughter of his own, Sarah. She's 8, all energy and curiosity. She reminds me of you at that age. I think about going home all the time. I think about walking up to the old house and knocking on the door and seeing your face when you realize it's me. But I'm scared. Scared you'll turn me away. Scared you'll hate me for all the years I missed. I don't know if I'll ever have the courage. But I want you to know, I never stopped loving you. Not for one single day. Eleanor. I read the letters late into the night, tears streaming down my face. 50 years of my sister's life, laid out in pages I never knew existed. The next morning, I asked Sarah the question that had been haunting me. Why did she leave? What was she running from? Sarah looked at me with those familiar eyes. She never told anyone, not even my father. But I found something in her things after she died. A journal. She wrote in it every day for 50 years. She pulled a small notebook from her bag. The last entry is from the day before she died. She finally wrote down the truth. June 14, 2005. I don't have much time left. The cancer is spreading, and the doctors say it's a matter of days now. I need to write this down. I need to tell someone, even if that someone is just a piece of paper. I left home because I was pregnant. Not by David, by someone else. Someone I couldn't tell anyone about. It happened the summer before I met David. I was 19, working at the diner in town. There was a man, a customer, older than me. He was charming, attentive, made me feel special. One night, after my shift, he offered me a ride home. I said yes. I won't go into details. I can't. But what happened that night wasn't my choice. It wasn't anything I wanted. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't tell our parents, they would have been devastated. I couldn't tell anyone. So I ran. I had the baby in California, alone, terrified. I gave him up for adoption. I've regretted it every day since. I never told anyone. Not David, not my son, not a single soul. I carried this secret for 40 years, and it's been eating me alive. I'm sorry, Helen. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to tell you. I'm sorry I ran instead of staying to fight. I'm sorry for all the years we lost. I love you. I've always loved you. Eleanor. Sarah and I drove to California together. Eleanor was buried in a small cemetery outside Sacramento, under a simple headstone that read Eleanor Marie Vance, 1942 to 2005, beloved mother and grandmother. I stood in front of her grave for a long time, tears streaming down my face. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner. I'm sorry you had to go through all of that alone. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. Sarah put her arm around me. She knew you loved her. She talked about you all the time. You were the one person she never stopped thinking about. I knelt down and touched the headstone. I forgive you, Eleanor. For everything. I forgive you. The wind picked up, warm and gentle. I could swear I felt a hand on my shoulder. On the way back from the cemetery, Sarah asked me something I hadn't expected. Mrs. Parker, do you know who the man was? The one who hurt her? I shook my head. She never told me. I don't think she ever told anyone. There was one name in her journal. Just one. She wrote it down and then scratched it out so hard the paper tore. I couldn't read it. She showed me the page. The name was scratched out, but I could make out the first letter. J. J. My blood ran cold. Sarah, what was her baby's name? The one she gave up for adoption? James. She named him James. James. My son's name was James. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through possibilities I didn't want to consider. James. My James. Born in 1966. Adopted. Adopted. James was adopted. He'd always known. His birth mother was young, they told him, couldn't keep him. He never tried to find her, said it didn't matter, that we were his real family. But what if his birth mother was Eleanor? What if the man who hurt her was? No. I couldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. But the thought wouldn't leave me. The next morning, I called Sarah. Sarah, I need you to send me everything. Every letter, every journal entry, every photograph. Everything. Of course. I'll mail them today. Thank you. Mrs. Parker, are you okay? You sound strange. I'm fine. I need to know. The package arrived 3 days later. I spread everything out on the kitchen table, letters, journals, photographs. And I started reading. Every word. Every page. Every secret my sister had carried for 50 years. And then I found it. A photograph, tucked in the back of her last journal. A man, maybe 40, handsome, smiling at the camera. On the back, in Eleanor's handwriting. J. 1964. The year everything changed. I stared at the photograph, my heart pounding. I knew that face. I'd seen it 1,000 times in family albums. It was my father. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes. Hours. Time lost all meaning. My father. The man who raised me, who loved me, who I thought was a good man. He was the one who hurt Eleanor. He was the reason she ran. I thought about all the years she suffered alone. All the years she carried that secret, that pain, that shame. And my father just went on with his life, never facing any consequences, never admitting what he'd done. I thought about James. My son. Eleanor's son. My father's son. The product of violence and secrets and lies. I thought about all the family dinners, all the holidays, all the ordinary moments when we were all together, never knowing the truth that bound us. And I thought about forgiveness. Whether it was possible. Whether it was deserved. I called Sarah again that night. Sarah, I need to tell you something. Something important. I told her everything. About my father, about what he'd done, about James, about all of it. She was quiet for a long time. My grandmother, she was your father's daughter too? Yes. And my father, your son James, he's your father. Yes. Another long silence. What do we do? She asked. I don't know. I honestly don't know. James came to dinner the next Sunday, like he always did. He kissed my cheek, asked how I was, sat in his usual chair at the kitchen table. I looked at him differently now. Not as my son, but as Eleanor's son too. The child she'd carried and loved and given up because she had no choice. Mom? You okay? You seem quiet. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just thinking. About what? I took a deep breath. About your birth mother. About the woman who gave you up. He looked surprised. I never talked about this. None of us did. What about her? I found her. Well, I found her daughter. Your sister. James stared at me. My sister? I have a sister. Half-sister. Her name is Sarah. She's 28, married, living in California. I don't understand. How did you find her? I told him everything. About Eleanor, about the letters, about the journals, about the truth I'd discovered. When I got to the part about my father, about what he'd done, James went pale. Mom, that means. I know. He's my grandfather. And Eleanor was my mother and my aunt. Yes. We sat in silence for a long time. What do I do? He finally asked. I don't know. I've been asking myself the same question. Do I meet her? Sarah? That's up to you. She wants to meet you. She's wanted to find you her whole life. James nodded slowly. I think I need to. They met a month later, at a small cafe halfway between their homes. I watched from a corner table as James walked in, saw Sarah, and stopped. For a long moment, they just looked at each other, strangers who shared blood, shared history, shared pain. Then Sarah stood up, walked over to him, and hugged him. I couldn't hear what they said. I didn't need to. The way they held each other told me everything. After a while, they both looked over at me. Sarah smiled. James nodded. I smiled back. We went back to Eleanor's grave together, the three of us. James stood in front of the headstone for a long time, not speaking, just looking. I never knew, he finally said. All those years, I never knew. You couldn't have, Sarah said. She never told anyone. I wish I'd known. I wish I could have. I don't know. Done something. You're here now. That's what matters. James knelt down and touched the headstone. Thank you, he whispered. For giving me life. For giving me up so I could have a better one. For everything. The wind picked up, warm and gentle. I could swear I felt a hand on my shoulder. It's been 2 years now. James and Sarah talk every week. They've become close, brother and sister in a way that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. Their children play together, their families blend together. We have holidays together now, all of us, a strange and beautiful family born from tragedy and secrets and love. I think about Eleanor often. About the sister I lost and found again, even if only in memory. About the pain she carried, the secrets she kept, the love she never stopped feeling. I go to her grave every year on the anniversary of her death. I bring flowers, talk to her, tell her about James and Sarah and the grandchildren she never got to meet. And every time, I feel her with me. Watching. Smiling. Finally at peace. The last letter she ever wrote was to me. Sarah found it among her things, sealed in an envelope with my name on it. Dear Helen. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And I need you to know the truth. I loved you more than anything in this world. You were my little sister, my best friend, the person I trusted most. And I'm sorry I didn't trust you with my secret. I'm sorry I ran instead of staying to fight. What happened to me wasn't my fault. It took me 40 years to understand that. I hope you understand it too. I hope you'll tell James about me. I hope you'll tell him that I loved him, that I never wanted to give him up, that I thought about him every single day. I hope you'll forgive me for all the years we lost. I love you, Helen. I always have. I always will. Your sister. Eleanor. I keep that letter in my jewelry box, next to the photograph of us as girls, laughing, arms around each other, not knowing what the future would bring. And I think about forgiveness. About how hard it is, and how necessary. About how we carry our secrets until we can't anymore, and how the truth, when it finally comes, can either destroy us or set us free. I chose to be set free. I hope Eleanor did too.